Chapter 2099 Undersea Resources. The fruit of the sun god tree contains the energy of a powerful underground volcano and the spiritual energy collected by the sun god tree. It is very good to use it to power Ling. King Jin frowned and thought for a moment before he said to Zhang Yi, "We also have important uses for the sun fruit, so this time we can only give you 50 at most. This is our limit." The sun god tree only produces 200 to 300 fruits every year. King Jin was indeed a simple man and gave Zhang Yi 50 golds at one time. This was actually far beyond Zhang Yi's expectations. He took a deep breath and said with emotion, "I will remember your kindness. One day, I will definitely repay the Deep Blue Kingdom and His Majesty the King for your kindness." King Jin agreed too readily, which would be almost impossible in the human world. Zhang Yi's original plan was to have a good discussion between the two sides and negotiate the terms. But King Jin's frankness made him so excited that he almost cried. It was the first time that he had felt such a simple relationship of trust between people in someone other than his partners. King Jinyu came to Zhang Yi and said with a smile, "Although I can't provide you with too much sun fruit, I have some other energy sources here. I wonder if they will come in handy." Zhang Yi blinked his eyes and was almost speechless. "Can you really be so kind? What else?" Zhang Yi, a thick-skinned man, was too embarrassed to speak at this moment. "Haha, the seabed is rich in minerals. They are just some ordinary energy sources. We don't have a large population in the Deep Blue Kingdom. Even if we discover some minerals, we rarely mine them. We just mark them down. In addition, there are some of your human shipwrecks on the seabed, which occasionally contain some interesting things. We will also collect them." King Jin asked Zhang Yi to sit on a seahorse carriage and then drove away into the distance. A few hundred kilometers away from the living area of the Deep Blue Kingdom, there is a vast barren area. The ground here is reddish-brown and no plants grow. King Jin pointed to the land and said, "There is a considerable amount of black flint underneath. It can generate heat energy if it is carefully submerged. However, it is difficult to ignite it underwater with our flames, so the utilization rate is not high. Our scientists have studied it and found that it needs to be used in a waterless environment. So we have mined it in large quantities." Zhang Yi immediately scanned the area with his smart device. Red rays shot out from the rabbit helmet, penetrating the underground area. Soon after, he received feedback from the intelligence system. There is a huge amount of coal buried under this area, with preliminary estimates of more than 1 trillion tons. Zhang Yi nodded. It's only 1 trillion tons, which doesn't seem like a lot. Yang Xinxin coughed in the shadow and explained to Zhang Yi, "This is already 3 times the largest proven coal reserve in the world." She roughly calculated it and then said to Zhang Yi, "Through combustible equipment, all this coal can be converted into energy. At least it can solve the energy consumption of tens of thousands of mechanical life forms for half a year of continuous combat." Smiling face with heart eyes casual date is just a click away. Zhang Yi's eyes widened. At this moment, he suddenly realized a problem. What Ling told him was that most of the advanced energy in this world has an owner. However, low-level energy, such as oil, coal, and natural gas, can also be converted into high-level energy as long as the quantity is large enough. Moreover, since most of the 6th-generation creatures are terrestrial species, marine species with higher intelligence are rare. Therefore, the resources under the deep sea 10,000 meters deep will not be collected by them. After all, in such areas, mining, transportation, and permanent personnel residence are all huge troubles. Sure enough, the ocean is a huge treasure trove. The textbooks are telling the truth. Zhang Yi's eyes lit up. He was now like a poor man entering a huge vault. King Jin said somewhat embarrassedly, "Although the reserves of these black flints are large, it is troublesome to mine. I will send more people to mine, but at most I can only collect a few hundred tons a day." Zhang Yi waved his hand. No, you've already helped me a lot. I can do this kind of thing myself." Without further ado, he opened the dimensional door and dived underground. Then, in this huge black coal mine, he raised his hand, and 3,000 dimensional gates of the universe opened up. Each door is now large enough to accommodate a skyscraper. He began to collect all the crude coal into the alien space. After bringing it back, Luke Heron will take the lead and let the excellent workers in Tianhai City do the processing and energy conversion. Putting aside the energy loss in the middle, the resources obtained in the end are also extremely huge. King Jin saw Zhang Yi disappear and couldn't help but shout, "Mr. Chaos, where are you?" But soon, the seabed land in front of them began to shake violently. Boom! A large area of underwater land collapsed directly. Zhang Yi's voice came from below. "Your Majesty, I will put these things away myself." King Jin then realized that Zhang Yi was a person with superpowers in the space system. He smiled and nodded. "That's good." It was an extremely large coal mine. Even with the 3,000-dimensional gates at full power, it took Zhang Yi several hours to completely absorb it. This huge noise attracted many people from the Deep Blue Kingdom to come and watch, curiously looking at the scene of the ground collapsing. Prince Festival, General Ming Hai, and General Yu also arrived. "Father, what happened here?" Prince Festival asked curiously. King Jin narrated the matter to him. Before Prince Ji could speak, General Yu said sarcastically, "All the good things in our seabed have been taken away by others for nothing. It really makes people unhappy." General Ming Hai glanced at him and said, "These resources are too troublesome to mine, and they are not suitable for use underwater. It's better to give them to them. No matter what, the people on land are all the same as us, the sixth generation of intelligent species. When we face disasters in the future, we will need to join forces to resist them." General Yu snorted coldly, folded his arms, and said coldly, "It's just that our current technology has not reached the corresponding level. Sooner or later, when we can use these resources, I'm afraid we will regret it." When King Jin heard these words, his eyes were fixed on the sunken ocean land, which had now turned into a huge black pit. Chapter 2100, Digging 3 Feet Deep. "I'm afraid we can't wait until then." As soon as these words came out, the three giants nearby all looked towards King Jin. Prince Ji asked, "Father, what do you mean by this?" King Jin looked a little solemn. He looked at his prince and said, "According to what you learned last time, the seal of the Druk giant god has completely decayed. It won't be long before he breaks the seal and comes out. And the appearance of a Druk Titan may be accompanied by the appearance of other Druk Titans. We are located at the entrance of the ocean channel, and I'm afraid we will be the first to bear the brunt of the attack." Upon hearing this, the three giants all showed solemn expressions on their faces. They had heard King Jin mention this incident before, but this time, King Jin described it in more detail. "I thought it would take at least a few thousand years, but now it seems that the disaster will come within a few decades." King Jin sighed. "Try to help our brothers. When facing a huge disaster from the outside world, at least we still have a helper to rely on." It is true that King Jin is simple and honest, but he is not stupid either. The reason why he helps Zhang Yi so wholeheartedly is that he hopes to get Zhang Yi's help when disaster strikes in the future. Zhang Yi took over all the underground coal resources. He would not miss any resources he could find, no matter how many. After all, the more strength he had, the greater his chances of winning. He returned to the ocean, looking at King Jin with a fiery look in his eyes. Zhang Yi asked eagerly, "Your Majesty, are there any similar resource deposits here?" King Kim nodded. "Of course, the resources in the ocean are endless. We are very familiar with the ocean area around here. Although this kind of mineral deposits are not particularly abundant, they are not rare." Zhang Yi nodded. He never refused anyone who came. "Please lead the way for me." Guishu, where all the water in the world flows, has been flowing for many years. Along with the ocean currents come the deposits of various resources, including the remains of many marine organisms, which have been deposited here over a long period of time and have become rich resources. Wang Guijin took Zhang Yi to the next place and pointed to a large area full of tube-like creatures and said, "Under this sea area, there is a strange, transparent ore. It can burn in seawater, but it is not stable, so we often burn it as a toy, but rarely use it in large quantities. Zhang Yi immediately started an exploration and found a huge mine of combustible ice. "Leave it to me." Zhang Yi rolled up his sleeves, licked his lips happily, and then pounced forward. "Anyway, these things will be in a stable state that is almost static when placed in a different space. Take it back when the time comes and let Liu Karen take care of it." After a while, a piece of combustible ice mine with higher energy storage than the previous coal mine also fell into Zhang Yi's pocket. "Your Majesty, is there anything else?" Although Zhang Yi had been busy for most of the day, he showed no signs of fatigue. Instead, his eyes became brighter and brighter. Judging from this progress, he can even rebuild a super army of mechanical civilization. Even when it comes to providing energy to Ling, there is not much pressure. Changmeyer Holdings Limited. Yes. King Jin's tone slowed down a bit. Although they rarely mine these minerals, he couldn't help but twitching his facial muscles when he saw Zhang Yi's bandit-like digging speed. But the words were already spoken, and as a man who cared about his reputation, he couldn't go back on his word halfway. So he had no choice but to take Zhang Yi with him and wander around several places near Guishu. Zhang Yi mined continuously, and 7 huge abysses were artificially created by others. Undersea oil, coal mines, natural gas, combustible ice. As long as it is usable energy, he will accept it. After all, his ability is so convenient that it can be said to be unique in the world. But the area of the alien space is extremely large, so there is no need to worry about reaching the limit. Your Majesty, is there anything else? It was already late at night, and the ocean was pitch black, but Zhang Yi was still fighting with a lamp on. This time, it's really gone. King Jin's voice was a little dry. It took tens of millions or even hundreds of millions of years for these mineral deposits to form. Now, all the large mineral deposits near Guishu have been taken away by you. The ocean is huge. If you have time, you can search carefully and perhaps make some new discoveries. Zhang Yi calculated that what he gained from this trip could be described as outrageous. As expected, if you change your mindset and location, everything will go smoothly. According to numerology, there are 3 factors that determine a person's fate: destiny, geography, and human affairs. Whether or not something can be accomplished depends on these 3 points. Fate cannot be violated. What people can change is geography and human affairs. So when you encounter difficulties in doing things, try somewhere else. Maybe you can achieve something. When Zhang Yi saw King Jin's embarrassed face, he realized that he was too greedy. As a result, the area around Guishu was filled with potholes. Although he was generous, he was a bit like a poor relative who visited his home. When he was asked to eat more, he would eat 7 or 8 bowls of rice and dozens of steamed buns in one meal. Zhang Yi said to King Jin, "I'm in big trouble this time, and I really need these energy sources. I will remember your kindness in my heart. I swear in the name of chaos that when you and the Deep Blue Kingdom need my help, I will definitely do my best." Zhang Yi has his own principles in life. Even the slightest grudge must be avenged, and even a small favor must be repaid. This can be seen from the people around him. King Jin smiled and waved his hand. If one day this world falls into danger that can cause the extinction of all living things, we still need to work together. So helping our brothers on land is also helping ourselves. He suddenly said seriously, "I have always told the people of the kingdom to save resources and not use them for themselves. In the future, use them to support our brothers on land." As he spoke, he pointed his finger at General Yu, who was not far away. "Do you have enough? If not, we have more at General Yu's house." General Yu looked confused. Zhang Yi smiled and waved his hand. No, these are enough for us to use." He raised his hands and clasped them together in a salute to King Jin, which was the etiquette of the Mermaid Kingdom. "I'll come back to thank you when I've done my part." Then he left the Deep Blue Kingdom. Time waits for no one. Now that the energy problem has been basically solved, he still needs to solve the problems of weapons and manpower. So next, we have to visit each major region of Huashu Kingdom one by one. Dear viewers, thanks for staying with me. We'll try to get you more updates. Please like and subscribe and share the video with your friends. Love you all.